What's going on, everybody? Joe at the Big Sky Model Workshop, back again for another Sunday morning model cars and coffee. Hosted, of course, by our good friend Paul over at Left Coast Model Car Builds. If you have not checked out Paul's channel, you owe it to yourself to swing by. Very talented builder. In fact, his whole family are excellent builders. Got a great collection of vintage kits. Always something cool to share. Just a guy who truly loves the hobby and wants to promote it. Swing on by. Of course, I'll have him tagged in the title. Say hi. Tell him Joe from Big Sky sent you. So we've got some completed plastic. Granted, this was a build that started last year, but we finally got it done. Kicking the new year off with a completion. This is for the Pro Stock Effin' Everything group build, hosted by Josh at VCG Resins and Chris at Scale Speed Garage. This, if you've been following along, is Provair. Provair is a 1969 Chevy Corvair. It started its life as an AMT kit. It is full of aftermarket parts. It has the VCG Resins Nova front tubular clip. It has the VCG Resins Nova back half kit. The engine is a Pro-charged big block from VCG Resins. The tires and wheels came from VCG Resins, as did the mufflers, the U-joints, and the shifter. We've got stuff all over the place. But let me give you a tour of it here. We'll start at the front. Paint is Scale Finishes 1996 GM Bright Aqua. It's just a pretty color. I really liked it. I thought it would suit this build really well. Chassis is all done in Mr. Hobby Black. It's just, I like that color. The engine, I'm going to zoom in here for you. There you go. So the engine is the star of the show here, really. That is VCG Resins' beautiful Pro-charged big block Chevy. Goes together super well. Incredible detail as always. I do have Bluetooth cooling on this one. I had bigger plans that just didn't pan out where everything went. But you know what? We're not driving it. It's a show beast, right? So, I'll turn this around a little bit here. So beautiful. It fit the clip just right. If you were to try to put this engine in this, know that the gasser style headers that come with it fit perfectly, but you're going to do some tweaking to make the long tube headers fit, but we got it done. We'll turn it around a little bit here. So tires and wheels came from VCG Resins as well. The tires are in the black resin that he printed them in. Wheels are done in Revell Chrome. I ended up going back and giving them a second coat, which actually dulled them down about what I was hoping to have. So that turned out pretty good. Trim is a mix of bare metal foil and fusion firm. You guys see underneath here, you can kind of see in the reflection, and I'll show you as we come around here. But I made an exhaust system. Those mufflers came from VCG Resins, as did the turn downs, and that's just some evergreen styrene tube. Not bad, not bad. I'm kind of disappointed in the stance. That is not what I was hoping to accomplish there. I'll scoot that over a little bit. I really wanted to get that rear end tucked up and lower. This was quite a project for me. I bit off way more than I could chew. Scratch building a chassis underneath such a small car. I really jumped in pretty hard. And so it didn't turn out quite like I hoped. I really wished I could scoot that rear end in and up. If you guys ever do play with this rear back half kit from VCG Resins, know that the parts are kind of brittle. They're kind of delicate. You do have to be careful when you're snapping the links in. When everything snaps in, when you're dry fitting, it fits like a champ. It's perfect. Get a little bit of paint on there. If you forget to clear that extra bit of paint or primer off, it's going to fit way too tight and you'll break stuff. I broke probably every tab on this at least once. I was kind of gun shy to modify the tubes, but what I probably should have done is taken a shorter 4-link part and brought that rear end in forward and would have brought it up some. Maybe I'll mess with it down the road and see if I can get it to scoot. Right now, I'm just kind of relieved to be done. Sometimes builds will just treat you that way, and this one is no exception. So we might mess with it in the future, but for right now, I mean, the concept was still pretty cool. We shoved 10 pounds of stuff in a 5-pound bag, I believe. In the interior, shifter is also from VCG Resins. The rest of the interior is from the kit. I used the custom seat option. I used felt for the carpeting, and I used some charcoal flocking for inside the seats to kind of make it look like a tweed seat insert. I figured the color of this looked 90s-ish. I thought the interior should carry over similar. There was a period of time where Pro Street was a lot about stock interior, stock trim, just, you know, adding the big motor. Like this would have been a fairgrounds cruiser. This one was not built to go fast. It just was built to sound cool and look like it was going to go fast. So shout out to Will over at Red Hill Rod and Custom for those rear license plates. Man, I love those. There's a kind of a shot there. You get a peek of that awesome fabricated rear end and the exhaust system underneath there and the transmission pan. This engine comes with a TH400 transmission. The trunk on this is actually would have been the engine compartment in real life. This car was in real life would have been rear engined. So being that had to be open, we decided to add some detail there. So we took the fuel cell and battery box out of the Revell 1930 Ford Model A and put them in there. And you can see some of that excellent detail that comes in this rear back half section. Turns out pretty doggone nice, I think. So yeah, underneath, I'll kind of tip it over as gently as I can. You can see I painted the headers with Revell chrome, and then I handled them a bunch to make them look kind of like stainless headers. That's actually turned out exactly like I wanted. And then the exhaust system I fabricated on my own. I used a set of mufflers and turn downs there, and then just used some evergreen styrene to make the pipes. Fabricated a transmission cross member and a midsection. The front clip and the rear clip are beautiful pieces, and then you do have to figure out how to graft them. Well, being that we had to create a rear engine or a rear wheel drive front engine car, I couldn't just use the factory floor pan from the Corvair. I had to fabricate one. So I made some rails out of evergreen square styrene, and then I made a sheet floor for the middle, and I grafted the transmission tunnel in the middle came out of AMT's Nova Pro Streeter. So we just got creative best we could. You know, it was quite the project. All in all, though, I think it turned out pretty neat. Like I said, I wished I could have got the rear end up and in a little bit further, and maybe there will come a point where I will try to revisit this and maybe adjust that. But at this point, I'm just thrilled to kind of be done and where I'm at. It's a neat looking car. It's a beautiful color. Body turned out pretty decent. Scale finishes paint with 2K clear. The engine is a good mix. I used a lot of Tamiya silver leaf. I like how that lays down to look like an aluminum, and I lay that over black primer. So this thing literally is an aluminum looking block, intake heads, valve covers. Just use some various colors to bring out the belt detail and everything. Either black primer, I used Tamiya rubber black. I did go ahead and put plug wires on it just for fun. So yeah, just some mild details here and there. It was a very challenging build, I will say that. This one pushed me to my limits quite a bit. I tried some things I'd never had before. Definitely could use some more skills with that. I think the key thing for me is patience. I still like getting things done quickly, and this was a real challenge for me, having to fix things, walk away for a day or two, and come back. So, but like I said, all in all, pretty neat. You're definitely not going to see another Pro Street Corvair anytime anywhere else. So pretty good deal altogether. I'll call it a success. So I want to thank Chris and Josh for hosting the PSFE group build. That was a lot of fun. If we do it again next year, I've got an idea. I will not get near as involved as I did on this. In fact, for 2026, I don't plan to get this involved in any sort of builds. This one wore me out a little bit. So, but I hope you like it, guys. Thanks for stopping by and watching. Thank you for everything you do. Thank you for liking and commenting, subscribing, sharing, all those awesome things you do. Thank you again to Josh and Chris for hosting this group build, and thank you for Paul for hosting Sunday Morning Model Cars and Coffee. With that, I am going to get out of your hair. I am going to spend the next week remodeling a bathroom, so you won't hear or see much from me. But until the next time, thanks again for stopping by. God bless you, and we'll catch you on the next one.